What's that, John? You think I'm an idiot? Well, guess what? I'm listening to the Gradient Pixels podcast. It's just Bill and the podcast. Who's the idiot now?
Alrighty, welcome back to the Gradient Pixels podcast, Pixel Chat. I'm Nick.
And I'm Shane.
And this week we have been playing a lot of Red Dead Redemption 2, and that's probably going to be the main focus of this podcast. But like all the other podcasts, we're going to start out with what we've been playing the last 2 weeks. So, do you want to go first, Shane?
Yeah, I guess so. Mine's not going to be very long, just because pretty much all I've been playing for the past 2 weeks is Red Dead Redemption 2. So, I'd rather just save that for when, whenever we talk about it as a whole. I've finished it, but Nick hasn't, so we're kind of just going to talk about like general gameplay things, maybe a few story things, but not too in depth, just to avoid spoiling Nick.
Probably anything. We probably won't go super in depth, but as a frame of reference, anything from about halfway from the beginning.
Yeah,
is where I'm at. So.
So yeah, we'll get into that later. I guess I would just say that I'm loving it so far. And it's pretty much everything I wanted from a Red Dead Redemption sequel, and even some things I didn't know that I wanted. So, yeah, it's pretty much perfect for me. I love it. I mean, I do have some flaws with it, but even those flaws are just they're not really impacting my experience, but they're things that they could be doing better. But I'll get into those later. And before Nick talks, because I know he has a few games that he actually has been playing recently, I was just going to talk about games that I want to play. Some of them are just games I want to replay. In fact, most of them are. But they've been on my mind recently. So one of them is Bully. I don't remember why I wanted to play that game again. Maybe just because playing Red Dead Redemption 2 kind of made me want to play a Rockstar game again. And also, Bully, I played it a few years ago, but I never really took my time with it. Because I think I was rushing because I think No More Heroes 1 was coming in the mail. And I had already played it at that point, but I had only played the PlayStation 3 version of that game. And I didn't really like that version. Well, I guess it was okay. I just heard everyone say the Wii version was better, so it was the first time I was getting that in the mail, and I was excited to play that. So I kind of just rushed through Bully. But I want to go back and just chill out and play it again. I've also been listening to the soundtrack a lot recently, and I forgot how good it is. The soundtrack's just amazing in that game. So yeah, I do want to replay Bully. I also want to replay the Max Payne series, which I got into earlier this year and replayed several times, but I want to replay them again, just because they're so much fun, and I like the stories a lot, at least in the first two. And I've actually been playing Max Payne 1 on my phone, because I heard there was a mobile port for it, but I heard some people say like it doesn't really work that well with modern devices. But I decided to go ahead and download it, and it works just fine for mine. The controls are a little wonky, and you can't really aim that well, so you kind of just have to use auto-aim. But it's still fun, because you can kind of play Max Payne 1 on the toilet.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. So yeah, I've been enjoying that a lot. And I think they ported the PC version, too, not the console version, so I think it's like 60 FPS and 1080p and everything on your phone, which is really cool.
You know what that reminds me of? Was, do you remember back in, must have been like middle school or something, you had a version of like Resident Evil on your phone?
Yeah.
We play, that's what it reminds me of, just like...
Well, I had 2 Resident Evil phone games. One was Resident Evil 4, the mobile version, and then I had like Resident Evil Degeneration, I think, which was based on a movie they released. And I beat Degeneration on every difficulty. It's a really shitty game, but it was kind of fun. I don't think I ever had the whole Resident Evil 4 mobile game, but yeah, you can play that version. It looks like crap, but they, it's Capcom's never-ending quest to port that game to every single thing possible, and they just announced the Switch version.
Yeah, I saw that.
Which I was waiting for. So yeah, I mean, I don't blame them, because that's a really good game. But yeah, why were we talking about that? We were talking about
Max
mobile
Payne.
things. Yeah, so I was just playing Max Payne 1 for fun on my phone. I do want to play it on the PC version whenever I do a full replay of the trilogy, but I've been playing that a little bit. And I think the only other thing I wanted to play recently, besides going back to Ninja Gaiden, which can kind of happen whenever, because I've played those games to death anyway, is The Evil Within. I got a little ways into The Evil Within a while ago, but it kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. And it probably wasn't helped that I played on the hardest of available difficulty setting, so I think it just frustrated me more than anything, and I think this time I'll just go on normal and really try and play it through to the end, because I've had The Evil Within 2 recommended to me by quite a few people. I know that game is a big cult following, so I might get that for Christmas, so I want to play the first one.
Yeah, I'd heard rumblings that the second one in a lot of ways was like better or like more well received than the first one.
Yeah, I heard the second one is a really cool, like, sort of like an adventure horror game, whereas the first one was more just like a horror game. And I've heard a lot of people say it's kind of like Silent Hill Downpour, but not shit. And that would be cool, because I thought Downpour had an interesting concept. It was just extremely poorly executed. So yeah, I do want to do Evil Within, especially because I didn't really play any horror games during Halloween. So I'd like to play that. But yeah, I guess that's it. I don't know what's going to take priority, because I wanted to start Bully, but at the same time I don't want anything to take me away from Red Dead, because there's other stuff I want to do with that, and I haven't really gotten bored of it. Right now I'm just trying to finish up challenges and stuff. I'm kind of deciding what I want to do in that game. I think I might try and go for 100%, but I'm not going to try to get the platinum, because there's a few trophies that are just really annoying. One of them is, I think there's a trophy called Gold Rush, and that...
Is that getting the gold medals?
Yeah, you have to get like 70 gold medals in story missions, which might not sound that bad, but the requirements are often really annoying. And, well, I'll just use the first mission for, like, an example. In the first mission, you go to Adler Ranch, and you just kill 3 guys and loot the place, and then you ride back. Doesn't sound like it'd be hard to get a gold medal, but you have to do the mission without getting hit, and you have to have 80% shot accuracy and loot a bunch of items. So that doesn't sound that bad, but the problem is that, first of all, you have to skip all the cutscenes before the mission starts. That takes a little while. After you skip all the cutscenes, then you have to ride with Dutch to the ranch, and then you get stopped by Micah, and then you have to keep riding. That takes a few minutes, which is okay when you're just doing the story, but when you just want to do the mission, it's annoying. So after like 5 minutes, you finally get to the ranch. And I should also mention, you have to wait for the game to load for like a minute before the mission actually pops up. So after like 6-7 minutes, you're finally at the ranch. You just have to kill 3 guys, and if you get shot one time, you have to restart the entire thing, and you just wait for 6 minutes before you can try it again. And that's with every single mission. You have to skip the cutscenes, and then ride to the place, and then do like 80% shot accuracy. Don't get hit, even though you're getting shot all the time, and it's like, I'm not doing that. That is really annoying. Like, if I could just start when the action starts, I wouldn't mind. It's the fact that you have to do the rides every single time, and there's nothing to do besides ride and listen to the dialogue. Yeah. And like I said, the dialogue is great, but it's like, I've already experienced it. I'm just trying to get gold, you know? It's like, I'm not doing that. That's not fun. And there's a few other ones that are just tedious. Like, there's one where, and Red Dead 1 kind of had this, where it's like, you have to get attacked by a grizzly bear like 18 times, and then like kill it before it mauls you. Which is okay, I guess. If you do a lot of hunting, it might just come naturally. There's one where you have to, I think, study every animal in the game across all the states, which could be really annoying, especially birds. There's one where you have to skin every species of animal, but I don't really know what that entails. If it's not that annoying, I might try to do it. But the good news is that 100%ing the game isn't that bad. The hardest thing is like the ambient challenges, but everything else is just like get all the dinosaur bones or kill all the legendary animals and stuff, and it's pretty straightforward. I'm almost at 90%, so I might do that, but I'm not doing the platinum or anything. And then once I do that, I wouldn't mind replaying the story actually, so I might do that too. But after that, then I could probably go and play Bully or something, I think. So that's about all I have to say right now. We'll get into Red Dead quite soon after Nick bores us all with Fallout 76 stuff and whatever, the Gungeon game.
Yeah. So basically, as Shane just stated, I've been playing Enter the Gungeon and the Fallout 76 beta. I'm not gonna say a whole lot on Fallout because I do have a video that by the time you're listening to this will already be up, so you can go and check out the Fallout 76 beta impressions video that we did, or I did, but it basically, I like the game for the most part. Of course, it's very buggy, as Bethesda's known for. I like the exploration and the world building that they have in this map, and a bunch of the enemies are cool in concept, but the AI is really bad. And I like the perk card leveling system, but I put about 8 hours into it, and I can tell the questing, by not having the NPCs that give quests, it feels a little more empty than I think it should. There's a lot of, like, I talk about it in the video, but it's just like sometimes quests just appear, and then you go and do what it says, and then you just get like rewards added to your person, and that just kind of doesn't feel real. Usually they've been going for like these immersive worlds that you go and get lost in and everything, and this one just feels more of a game than it does a world to explore. So those are some of the drawbacks I have with it, but for the most part it feels like Fallout. The transition to multiplayer hasn't really affected it in any way, so if you're expecting Fallout 4 multiplayer, you'll enjoy it. If you're expecting Fallout 5, I don't think you will. That's what I'll say.
So you're still excited for the game then?
Yeah, I'm still excited. I'm gonna play it when it comes out, and as long as I'm finished with Red Dead first, I'll be playing it when it comes out. And maybe down the line when some other friends get it, playing it with them, that'll be exciting. But the big thing with Gungeon, why I wanted to talk about Gungeon, because I just kind of mentioned it in other podcasts that I've been playing it when I have my free time. Well, this week was the first time that I completed and beat a run of the game and got all the way through and hit the final boss, beat the final boss, and got the credits to roll. Which I've had the game since it's come out, which I think was in 2017, and like I've played it on and off and everything, but I was just really bad at the beginning of the game, obviously. But a couple months ago, I had this thing where I was just like, all right, I actually want to try to get good at this game because I really do like it and I think it's really fun. And it was a couple nights ago I got to the 5th floor, which was only the second time that I've ever done it. Basically, it's I feel like I've explained it to you, but I'll just explain it here for people who don't know. But Enter the Gungeon is a game kind of like Binding of Isaac. It's a roguelike bullet hell, which means that there's randomized loot, random level geometry, random bosses, and it's just a bullet hell. You run, shoot, dodge, all that sort of thing. So there's 5 floors, and on the 5th floor is the final boss. There's also some secret floors that you can go to and secret bosses and all that. But the first 5 floors are like the main sort of game. And I got to the 5th floor for the second time, and on the final boss died towards the end of the fight, which really disheartened me because you have to restart. That's the roguelike aspect. If you die, you have to restart from the beginning. But then the next time I came back to it, I was having a good run going, was really focusing during that final boss, and I finally beat it for the first time, and I was so happy. There's still a lot of other side stuff that I haven't done in that game that I'll keep playing for a while, but I'm probably going to be doing a video on it soon, just because I liked it so much, and now I finally beat it. I feel like I can successfully talk about it in a better fashion than just being like, oh, I've never actually beat it. So,
yeah.
But yeah, so that was that. That felt me with great feelings that it's taken so long, but I finally did it. But other than that, that's about all I've been playing the last 2 weeks. So I guess now we can get into the meat and potatoes of this podcast, and that's Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Nick was talking about, like, if you're feeling a sense of, like, pride and accomplishment whenever he beat Gungeon, and that's pretty much the same way I feel whenever I beat, like, a action game, like Ninja Gaiden or DMC on, like, the highest difficulty. It just feels so rewarding when you finally get there, especially because, like, with those games, you have to go through all the other difficulties before you finally get to the final one, so you kind of have to earn it. So yeah, that's some of the best experiences you can have playing a game. So don't just play Last of Us tittle-lank. Play a challenging game for once, okay?
Oh, jeez. All right, so Red Dead.
Yeah.
Let's move on to Red Dead.
So it's been out for
About 2 weeks.
about 2 weeks, and it's already outsold the original Red Dead Redemption's lifetime sales by like 2 million. So it has like 17 million copies, and that means it surpassed $1 billion. I don't know exactly how many copies they have to sell to surpass $1 billion, but they did. I know they did at this point, which is amazing.
Yeah, in their 3-day opening weekend, they had sold $725 million worth, which put them in the second highest opening weekend for an entertainment property, just beneath Grand Theft Auto 5.
Well, it's the highest opening weekend ever, but GTA 5 has the highest opening ever, but that wasn't on a weekend. It was on a Tuesday.
Okay.
That's why.
Gotcha.
But yeah, technically GTA 5 is the best opening ever in general, and then Red Dead has the second. But it's amazing because I knew the game was going to sell well, but I didn't think it was going to sell that well because it's kind of a lot more niche than Grand Theft Auto. And I thought maybe more people wouldn't be as into the Wild West stuff, but I guess people are, and that's awesome because I love Red Dead.
I think Grand Theft Auto 5 was just so big that it brought so many... Like, I feel like, it's weird to say, but I feel like GTA 5 brought a lot more new people into gaming.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not hardcore gaming per se, but just it brought a lot more new people in, and then they see, oh, these are the people that made GTA 5. Wow, this looks amazing. I'm gonna buy it. So
yeah, I was gonna say that because I think there are a lot of people that haven't played the first one because a lot of people are like, John, like he's okay. I'm not really connected to him, and it's like I don't understand how you could have played the first one and like you're like ambivalent towards John. I mean, I guess it's not impossible if you didn't like him, but it seems like most people just haven't played the first one. They just bought this one because it was popular, which is fine. Hopefully they can play the first one. Oh yeah, a lot of people bought this because of Grand Theft Auto. I think that's true because pretty much at this point, any game Rockstar releases is going to sell well just because it's, their brand name, which is good for them, and they do make good stuff. Because I was a little worried about Red Dead for a while because of the online shenanigans, and in my opinion, the only good story they've ever really told is the first Red Dead Redemption. They have good writing in all their games, but the only narrative I particularly enjoyed was that one. I like Bullies, but Bullies wasn't a complex narrative. It was just kind of like a fun game.
Yeah.
Once again, good writing, but the story itself, wasn't super amazing. But they completely outdid themselves for me, and I thought this is probably one of my favorite stories in a game that I can think of now that it's over. We won't talk about it too much because Nick hasn't finished it, like we said at the beginning. But they did a great job on the story and the writing, and it does make me hope that like the next game they make, I hope it is like a Bully or something other than Grand Theft Auto because Grand Theft Auto's writing, it's supposed to be a parody of America, so it's very kind of cynical. Everything is a satire of something, which is like kind of, it's entertaining, but after a while it just kind of feels like they have nothing nice to say about the world, and I don't know, it can get a little tiring after a while. Whereas this one feels a lot more genuine, and same with the first Red Dead. It felt like a lot more genuine because they were trying to tell more of a, grounded, serious story. Especially this one, because the first Red Dead, it did kind of feel like GTA at sometimes where like the main character was pretty straight-laced, and you met a bunch of weird-ass people that were just like,
yeah.
Whereas this one was generally a lot more like easygoing, and most of the people were normal, instead of like Seth or Irish or whatever. Not that the first Red Dead didn't have cool people, like Landon Ricketts was cool, and Marshall Johnson, Bonnie McFarlane, it had normal people, but it did kind of feel like Grand Theft Auto with like the over-the-topness sometimes. So I preferred the groundedness of this one. They definitely took it very serious, and you'll see that as you keep going on in the story. So yeah, I don't want to talk too much about the story, like I said, just because Nick hasn't finished it yet.
One thing I will say, I was listening to the people over at Funhouse talking about it, like, after I had played the first couple missions, because I didn't want to watch their stuff before I had time to play it for myself. And something that Alana Pierce said that actually kind of resonated with me, and I've been thinking about a lot while I play it. She said that this game feels like it was a game made for adults, which is kind of... It's weird to say, because it's like, well, technically most, like, and for mature games, aren't they made for adults? But it's like... they were talking about it and how this game isn't paced like other games. A lot of people noticed right from the very beginning, the tutorial area-ish is like the game takes its time and it likes to breathe a lot. And normally, if you give it to like, I don't know, a Bungie or something, maybe they would just like throw you right into the middle of like a train heist right at the beginning. Like they were saying like just like guns and tits everywhere is like what a lot of people would do. But that's not necessarily the case with this, and that just kind of resonated with me. Like,
Well, yeah, I mean, even just like Grand Theft Auto 5, like the first mission in that was like I forget what they were like robbing something, but it was just like a big shootout, and they escaped from like a snowy town, and it was just a big bombastic thing. But yeah, I mean, like the entire game is pretty much like that. Like the game is really fucking slow, and the game does not give a fuck if you don't like slow games. It is slow from beginning to end, and I love that. I know some people really hated the snow section in the beginning. I had no problem with it personally, because I really, I'm already attached to the characters. I love the world, and I was so impressed with the graphics and the snow swirling and everything that I didn't care. I was entertained by it.
I didn't care about the snow section either, and to be honest, I think it makes the reward of leaving that area even better that you spent so long up there. It's just like, all right, I think it feels like it's the right point when you actually do break out and you go into like the grassy plains area, because like you're just like, all right, like it's time to see something new at this point. And I don't know. Yeah, I'm the same way. I didn't mind it at all.
Well, yeah, it's only like 2 hours out of like the story goes on for like 60, 70 or something. I mean, it is a long ass story. Even if you didn't do the side stuff, it goes on forever. Not saying that in a bad way. It could have gone on longer, and I would have loved it even more. But yeah, it's only like 2 hours, and the game has like so many little mechanics and things to learn that I think it's good that they just separated you from the rest of the game, so you're more focused on learning how the dialogue system works and getting immersed in that, because that's one of the most touted features of the game. It also, lets you learn how the gunplay works, because in this game, it's not like other games where like you just shoot and then wait and then shoot. You have to like shoot, press the trigger again to like cock the gun, and then you can shoot again, which I thought was a fun little touch. Excuse me, Jesus, that needed to get out.
Yeah, I really like that though. Like it was something that I immediately noticed. It's like you notice it in the first shot, like you're like pulling the trigger and it's like this doesn't feel right, and it's like, oh wait, he's pulling the hammer back on his gun each time too. So I actually really like that.
Yeah, and it's cool because it kind of prevents you from just like being a trigger spaz. It kind of lets you take your time and pick your shots wisely, so you're not just going like and like missing all over the place. So I really like that detail too. I like a lot of the little realism touches, which is kind of, I guess, I want to say mixed, but at the same time, I feel like a lot of the people complaining are like a minority. There's some people online that like feel like they're going out of their way to hate the game because of, I don't know, they're still pissed about the crunch thing or whatever. But yeah, I really like the snow section. I mean, it's only like 2 hours, but I've heard some people like either drop the game there or like they call it like unbelievably bad. It's like, I don't understand why. Like, I heard like Joseph Anderson, on like the video creator on Twitter, said like, my thoughts on Red Dead. The opening was unbelievably bad, but then the game was impressive when we left. It was like, why is it unbelievably bad? Like, I don't get it. Like, I don't understand. I can't really sympathize at all. I'm not really sure what the mindset was.
I mean, from like, yeah, I can't really speak to what he was thinking either. There was only one part of the snow section that stood out as odd to me, and it's very minor, but it's when, the mission where you have to go out and hunt the wolf for food, basically, or it's whatever animal.
It's like a deer, I think.
Yeah, the deer. After you skin it, and Pearson is like holding the skin, and he's like, you can sell these at a store or something. That felt really weird. I don't know if that's just like from the writing or something, but it was just like, like, hey, Arthur, if you go to the place in this area of the map, you can give them this pelt, and you will get gold in return. Yeah. It's like, that felt weird to me, but that was the only part that stood out.
I don't remember that part, but yeah, I'm sure he said that. Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was fine. It wasn't that big of a deal. I mean, I guess people were kind of expecting the game to be open from the get-go, because I guess the first Red Dead is more open earlier on, but even that game had a really slow opening, which is it's like everyone like either didn't play that game or forgot about that game because it's like a lot of the things you complain about in Red Dead 2 were already there in Red Dead 1.
Yeah,
So
all
like
the
if you
stuff
had,
at McFarlane Ranch.
yeah, like you had to herd cows and walk around the ranch with Bonnie. Like that wasn't that fun, but like it set the tone for the world.
I will say now that it's come up, there have been missions where you're herding cows, and I still don't really like it.
Yeah,
I don't find those missions fun at all.
It's better in this game, but yeah, it's not my favorite thing either. But in the first one, you had to like weave back and forth and do all this other weird shit.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Now you just have to call out.
Yeah, so it's not that big of a deal. But yeah, so the first mission is fine. I guess people are just upset that you couldn't just explore everywhere from the get-go. But like I said, it's like 2 hours and you get to camp. And I guess if you really didn't like the writing or something, I could understand. I feel like there's so much to like about that part that I don't sympathize at all with the people complaining about that. And like I said, the game does like 60 hours to complete. Like you can't just play 2 hours and be like, oh, this game sucks. And I feel like I said, like most of the people that are complaining about this game, you find out later, they like haven't gotten to the first camp or they like just got there. It's like I don't get it. Whatever. Maybe we should just move on and talk about something else.
Yeah, we can move on. Talk about some other things. Do you have anything that stands out gameplay wise that you really don't like?
Okay, so I wish I knew how many hours I played, but unfortunately Rockstar had a huge oversight and didn't include playtime. If you're on Xbox, you can check that with the Xbox dashboard, but on PlayStation, you're kind of out of luck. So I don't know how many hours I played. I played a shitload. But I can tell you that nothing has really heavily impacted my play session. There's a few things I wish were a bit different. Now, I see you have a list over here. I'll talk about the controls real quick. Okay, so I have been known to be a huge critic of Rockstar's controls. I've always thought they were really shitty. I've always been able to deal with them, but I've always thought they were shitty, and I always thought it was weird that no one talked about it. And I find it really strange how this is the game where I've seen a lot of people complain about it online, which is strange to me because I swear it's their best control scheme since like the PS2 games felt pretty good because they were just arcadey. It started like with GTA 4, I think, is the one where it started to get kind of rough and realistic to control. But it's just so weird to me that it was this game that people are complaining about when it feels so much better than anything that came before it, especially GTA 5, which felt awful. I thought the controls were broken in that game when I first played it, and it took me forever to get used to it. But like these people are acting like the game is unplayable. Like the game has input lag. I can't. I'm playing it for 7 hours. I can't walk anywhere. It's like, okay, you have issues. Like seriously, like you should get used to this in like 10 minutes. It is not that hard. Would you agree?
Yeah,
the controls are like not hard to get used to at all. Maybe they don't feel as good as like other AAA games. Like admittedly, Last of Us or like Uncharted does feel really nice. It's very snappy. Something like a Devil May Cry game, the control is almost instantaneous. But like it feels fine. It feels fine, and it completely exceeded my expectations from Rockstar. So I don't give a shit about that control.
On my note, I mean, what Shane was basing it off of, I wrote, controls are not great, but serviceable. I think the controls are fine. More so where I was coming from with that is because of all the little details that they've added into the realism, occasionally there's actions that you perform, and basically the game takes over Arthur to position him properly to like do certain things. So occasionally, like the hitching your horse, if your horse is not in the exact perfect position to hitch it, like the horse will start to like jitter into its spot, and then Arthur will climb down, then he'll reach over to grab it and like tie it around the thing, and it's just like some of those things, it just kind of feels unnatural. But
yeah,
like when you're actually running around and stuff, I don't really have any problems.
Yeah.
Shane just said he's a critic of the controls for most of the Rockstar games. I never really found a problem with them, but yeah, that's just kind of where I was coming from with it.
Yeah. I was fine with the controls like from the get go. I even like texted Nick right as I started playing the game because I played it a little bit before him, And I was like, okay, I'm happy to report the controls are absolutely fine. Some people were complaining about it, but it's like, I don't know what to tell you. It's like the same people that are complaining about every little thing that's like not hard at all to manage in the game, which we'll get into later. But as far as other complaints, one minor one I have is like I almost always use the same two weapons, and I use the licked field or leashed field repeater and a semi-automatic shotgun as my like shoulder and side weapons, and like almost every time you get back on your horse and ride for a while, Arthur puts them away, and then when you get off, you don't have them on you anymore. And like you can go to a gun shop and set what you want to be on your shoulder and your back, but it only lasts for a little while. I don't understand why the game can't just remember what you want. That gets like a little annoying. Like it's not that big of a deal. Like if you remember, just L1, select your weapons real quick, and then get off. It's not a huge deal, but I don't understand why it's such an issue.
Yeah.
And why Arthur always has to put away items if he could just put them on his back. And it makes it even worse because like as you go through the game, you get better weapons, obviously. So in the beginning, you're using like a cattleman revolver. But once you get like anything else, you never want to use that again. So I don't understand why I can't just put it away in camp and store it in like a chest. So I don't have to click through 10 revolvers to get the one I want. Because it always defaults to the cattleman. Or most of the time it does. So you have to click through all these different revolvers. And same with the repeaters. Like, there's like 10 guns. It's not just repeaters. It's like repeaters and shotguns and sniper rifles.
And the bow.
And the bow. So you have to click through all these. Like, and it's like, okay, I only want like 3 of these. So I just wish they had like an update where you could just store weapons at your camp. So if you don't want them, you can only have a few. Just a minor nitpick. It's not a huge deal, but it does get really annoying. Especially when sometimes like I need a bow, and I thought I put a bow on, but I guess Arthur puts it away, and then there's an animal that runs away, and I try and search for it in my inventory, but it's all the way over on my horse.
Yeah.
That gets really annoying. So that's one thing I do have a problem with. It's not a huge deal, because I usually remember to change them anyway, but I just wish they could change that. Another problem I have is with the mission design. I feel like it's way too railroaded sometimes. I just feel like you can't like choose how you do a mission, and I'm not expecting the missions to be like Hitman or like Thief or something where there's a million ways to do a mission. I understand that there's so many missions. They are trying to tell a story, so they do have to have an aspect of like linearity. But I just think either the game handholds you too much, or you can't be creative with how you do the missions. So like, for instance, in one mission, I had to chase down a bounty, and it wasn't like just a bounty hunter mission. It was like a required story mission, and you can't kill the guy. You have to bring him in alive. So I was riding after him on my horse, and my horse was starting to run out of stamina, and he was way ahead of me. So I thought, oh, I have a better idea. Instead of just chasing this guy and lassoing him, I'll just shoot his horse and then lasso him from there. So he falls down, and I lasso him, and then the game fails me because it says the law was alerted. And it's like, okay, so you're saying the law wasn't alerted because I was chasing this guy through the forest trying to rope him, but he was alerted because I shot his horse, and he's a bad guy? It's just stuff like that where it's like you get creative with the game, and then the game just says no, because that's not what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And that gets really annoying. There's like certain stealth missions that you do with like Charles, where like instead of having you figure out how to take the enemies out, it's just like, okay, Arthur, there's like 2 guys up here. You should kill one, and I'll kill the other. And it's just like, yeah, okay. Well, like, it's not hard at all. You don't have to think at all. I just wish there was less of that. I just wish the game kind of let you figure out how to do things. That's why I think the gunfights are the most fun, because it's just a gunfight. Like, you get to figure it out. And it is just kind of like cover shooting and stuff, but you can have some fun with it, like dodging, like Max Payne. Sometimes I do that for fun, and doing Deadeye. That's like one of the only parts of the game where you can kind of just get creative. Because at least with like Grand Theft Auto, when you have to escape the cops, there's not really a way you have to go. You just have to run through the city in a car to escape. So at least the game is kind of leaving it up to you. And with Red Dead, it's sort of like that, but you can kind of go in any direction because there's like no buildings. So you just keep riding until you get away. But like I said, like playing through the story, I was never bored because I thought the writing was excellent. I couldn't wait to see where it was going next, and the missions were still fun. I just wish there was a bit more creativity and Rockstar didn't just handhold you so much. One other example, and this was the first time I was pissed about it. The first time you go to Valentine, that mission has you go into a general store, you buy stuff for Uncle, and then you have to go help Tilly because she's being abused by like some former gang member of hers. And then you have to go talk to Karen, who's in the hotel. So before talking to Karen, I thought, oh, I'll just go over here and talk to this guy because like it had one of those notifications on the map that was like gray. Mm-hmm. So I thought it was like a little stranger event thing. So I thought I'd talk to him real quick, see what he had to say, then go into the hotel. So this guy's on the opposite side of the street on the hotel, just like a few feet away. And I go a little too far over and the mission fails me because I apparently abandoned Karen in the hotel. And it's just like, holy shit. Like, that is really annoying. And like I said, if you just follow what the game wants you to do, it's fun. It's not a huge deal. And like I said, I understand they're trying to tell a story, so it can't be like Hitman or whatever. But that's something I'd like to see Rockstar improve in the future. Try and think about how the player might go about doing something. Don't just make it like, so the game's like almost playing itself. That's one of the bigger complaints I had with the game. Sometimes I do think there is a little too much horse riding, admittedly, because there is fast travel in the game, but it's only fast travel to a place, and you can't get back.
Yeah.
So the worst place to be is like in New Austin, because it's way far away from everything, wedged in a corner. So if you want to go anywhere else, and you're over here in New Austin, you can't just go like up to get to a different state. You have to go all the way out of New Austin. And that's really fucking annoying.
And the other thing is that the fast travel isn't available at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
It's an eventual upgrade that you can get.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that can be a problem.
Yeah, I mean, if you get like a fast horse, like I have 2 Arabians. I don't know if you have an Arabian yet.
I only use the Warhorse.
You should get an Arabian because it's like 10 times faster, and it makes it a lot less annoying. You can get an Arabian in the Grizzlies near Lake Isabella. Go up there and be quiet, and there's a white Arabian there, and wrangle that. And I use that horse for most of the game, but now I have a black one that's a bit faster. Yeah, that can be annoying. Like, I understand it's more for the realism, and I haven't gotten that bored of it, but there's some times where it's like, I'll just put the cinematic camera on and watch a YouTube video because I don't feel like doing this.
Yeah.
And you still, like, one thing I do appreciate about the controls in this one is that you don't have to tap to run. You do have to tap to sprint, but just running, you can just toggle it in the menu, so you can just, like, press the button, and then Arthur just runs, which is a huge improvement because I always hated the button tapping. But I will say it's better on a PlayStation controller because the button is just flat. Mm-hmm. On an Xbox controller, it's convex, which is a bit more annoying and harder on your thumb. So that does make it better. But on a horse, you still have to tap it, and it's a little like,
yeah.
I kind of wish you didn't have to do that all the time. But
yeah, one of the things I pretty much agree with everything that you've been saying. One of the things that stood out to me that I wish was just altered a little bit is, again, a lot of these things are cool in theory. So where I'm going with this is that every item that you can interact with in the game, Arthur can pick up LA Noire style, look at or whatever. Or like if you're picking up ammo, he picks up each individual case and puts it in his bag. Cool. For like the first like 50 times you do it. Then it's like, all right, I just kind of want to get my items and get out of here. I don't need to see him bending over, pulling out each drawer of the wardrobe, see that there's nothing there, open the doors. It's like, when you're after a gunfight, let's say, when there's just bodies everywhere, he'll automatically pick up ammo off the bodies, and I just kind of wish that applied to some other things. Mm-hmm. Like, I wish that I didn't have to pick up every single thing. And like, there's a bunch of collectibles in the game, notably the cigarette cards. I really like seeing those, but like if you find one out in the wild that you don't get from just like a cigarette pack, like you have to pick it up, look at it, inspect it, and then put it away. It's just like, it adds a lot more steps that I think could just be really streamlined, and we don't need to see it every single time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's one of the things I've heard people complain about, but I don't mind it that much. And also a pro tip is that whenever you're looting, first of all, first person makes it go faster, and if you just hold, like if the loot button is like square or triangle, you can just hold it, and Arthur will just go, and he'll just loot the entire thing.
Oh, I didn't know that. Huh.
Yeah, so you don't have to keep pressing it and holding it. And the cigarette card thing, I don't mind because you just get it out and then press circle and he puts it away.
Yeah.
It's more of like, I guess it gets kind of annoying sometimes, but I don't mind it that much because I'm not constantly looting things. You know, I feel like maybe once or twice an hour I can loot a house, especially if I'm just exploring. So I don't really mind that much. Same with like the skinning animations. I haven't gotten bored of those. Some people said like, oh, you think it's okay in the first few hours, but I don't think you'll like it 60 hours later. And it's like, well, I'm like 90 hours in, and I really don't care. Like, it's not that big of a deal to me, but
I do want to.
I guess I understand, yeah.
I do want to say one thing that I do like, going off of the writing, because this kind of goes along with the writing though, is the performances of all of the characters.
Sure! You ever hear Arthur say sure?
Yeah, I think sometimes
He says it like that. Sure!
Arthur obviously is very good. He's a nice character, but
Where's our money?
I noticed it immediately in not the very first word said, but whenever they find the house in the first like cutscene after they've been riding in the snow for a little bit, and it's specifically when Dutch goes, all right, listen everybody, listen up everybody, listen to me real quick right here. Like, for whatever reason, that just kind of sticks in my head, and he delivers that line so well. Like, this is another one of those things where at this point, it doesn't feel like a game when you're in the story. It feels like something way more. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if this could be it either, but, like, the Funhouse guys, they were talking about how it's possible that this story kind of plays out like a novel, because they have the time to be able to do it. It's not like a film where it has to be railroaded into like a 2 or 3 hour story. So maybe they just have more time to let things breathe and stuff like that. But just every single character, even the side ones and even the ones that don't have any sort of significance at all, just people like walking in the street, it's like all the performances are so great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think you said it was like kind of like a novel, but I think Arthur's voice actor said it was like going through like 6 seasons of a TV show, basically, because that's how long it takes to finish. Yeah, the voice performances are great. I thought at first Arthur was a little over the top, but it grew on me, and I think it's fine. And I do have to cut him some slack because I know his voice actor is actually Irish, so if you hear him speak normally, he has like a thick Irish accent. So considering that, he did a really nice job. I don't know how accurate it is to like Louisiana or whatever the fuck Arthur's from, but he did a good job, I think. It might not be as natural as John, because I know John's voice actor sounds exactly like that in real life. Same with Dutch. I thought for a while Dutch's voice actor just did like the voice cracks as like part of his performance, but if you hear him talk, that's how he sounds in real life, which is interesting. He has a very unique voice. Not a bad one, just unique. I do think Sadie can be a little annoying sometimes. Like, I like when she just speaks a little calm, that she has a cool voice, but sometimes she's like, like, I can't do her voice, but it's... but, like, I'm trying to think of, like, something she would say, or it's like, you're crazy! Or, like, something like that.
Her getting in an argument with Pearson, I remember that. Just like, oh yeah, that fat slob!
Oh, yeah, it's like, that fat slob! I don't know, it's, like, maybe a little too over the top, and I also think it's weird, because it's, like, she was, like, a rancher woman for a while, but, like, her voice is, like... her voice is, like, an outlaw voice, which seems kind of weird, because, like, I'm not saying a rancher woman couldn't have a voice like that, but I feel like it would make sense to, like, progress it that way or something. Mm-hmm. It seems weird that, like, they rescue her from the ranch and she's like, Mercedes Adler! I don't know. It's not a big deal. Like, I think her actress does a good job for the most part, and I really like Sadie. But, yeah, maybe a little too, like, smoke 50 packs of cigarettes a day for me sometimes. And actually, speaking of Sadie, one thing I did want to mention is that there's a notorious glitch in this game that I was affected by. I don't think Nick was, but I was affected by, and I know a bunch of other people were, where, like, the first mission you do with Uncle, I think it's the Valentine mission, if you fail that, which I did, because of Karen, if you fail that, then Sadie, John, and Abigail like never appear in camp for like the first 2 or 3 chapters, so you never really get to interact with them. Like if there's a story mission with them, they'll be there, but you can't just like talk to them. And I thought it was like they were just living out their lives or something somewhere else, or I don't know. Sadie, I know she kind of lives far away from the camp because she wants to distance herself from them, but it turns out there is a glitch. So be aware of that. If you're playing in the beginning and you feel like John or Sadie isn't around enough, that's probably because you were affected by the glitch. So right now Rockstar just said if you play that mission with Uncle, actually I think they said don't do that mission first if you can. If you do it first, it's okay, but if you die during it, you have to restart the entire mission. If you restart from checkpoint, it screws it up. So they're trying to fix that, and they're going to release an update soon for that, and I think a few other things. I don't know what the other things are, but they said they're going to release an update for that. So be aware of that, and that was kind of annoying because I wanted to talk with those characters more. It's fun to antagonize John a lot, too. I like doing that.
Yeah, I wasn't affected by it, but I had seen it shared around a lot.
Yeah, so it's not a huge deal, but it is a little annoying because one of my favorite parts of the game is just like cruising around the camp and talking to everyone. Yeah, that's a lot of fun. That never really gets boring because there's so many people to talk to, and it's fun just watching people like talk amongst themselves about whatever, or going to the campfire and singing a song. There's a lot of cool things you can do.
Yeah, I really like that one part of the game. It's after a couple missions or after some significant mission or something, but there's just kind of like this time at the camp where everybody's having a couple bottles of booze and singing songs and stuff, and it just kind of felt nice. It was like every little thing you did in that moment, it was just, well, I feel like these people actually do know and care about each other, even though they're a bunch of nasty outlaws.
Yeah, that
probably
that part,
stink like VO.
Yeah, that yeah, really. I think everyone probably stunk to high heaven back then, which is gross to think about.
Yeah.
But I like that part a lot too because it was literally just like you just chilled with them. Like there was no like, oh, we're gonna get attacked. It's literally just like just chill. If you want, you can do it as long as you want. You can drink as much alcohol as you want, or sing songs, or dance with people, or talk with everyone around the camp, or play a game of like poker with them. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I really like that part, and I think it happens 2 or 3 times during the course of the story. I was gonna say something else. Oh, I just liked one of my favorite parts was like if I decided not to do the story for a while and I was just exploring and doing side quests and like hunting and stuff. It was really nice coming back at the end of the day and just like sipping some coffee and drinking or eating Pearson's stew and just walking around the camp checking on everyone. And sometimes I'd do like a chore or something. Even though it was kind of boring, I would just do it just because I was like immersed in the game. It just felt nice just to come home to that. And, you can give Arthur a nice shave and change his outfit and everything, and then make sure he gets his 8 hours, and then wake up in the morning and then head out again. That was a lot of fun.
I've been seeing a lot of people dress Arthur up as Woody from Toy Story.
I think a lot of people make Arthur look stupid. Like, they make him, like, grow out his hair a lot and make him have a big beard, and he looks kind of gross, and his outfits look dumb. I always made him look handsome.
Yeah.
Dressed to the nines.
Yeah, I usually keep him pretty slim in the hair department, down in that 2-3 range.
Yeah. Yeah, I really never changed his haircut at all. In fact, I didn't. I got him like a left part, which is not that different from his default. And then I just let his hair be like 2 to 4. And that was about it. Same with his facial hair. I liked it at like between 2... either clean shaven or like 4 was the max. I thought he looked good in that, so I just left it like that. And a lot of the time I just took his hat off because I liked how he looked without his hat. But yeah, the customization in the game is awesome. There's so many things you can buy. The only thing that I think is a little annoying is that some of my favorite like outfit pieces don't have alternate colors you can buy. Like there's like a lot of the ones that are already there in the beginning, like Arthur's default jacket, or there's a brown leather jacket that's like supposed to be a heavy coat. You can't buy any alternate colors for that. Or like Arthur's heavy jacket that's blue. It'd be nice to have like a Santa Claus version. But you can't buy alternate colors for any of that stuff, which is a little annoying. But otherwise, there's so many things to buy in the game, outfit-wise, and you can buy spurs, boots, pants, vests,
Leather covers
coats,
for the boots.
yeah, shirts, just all these different things, and you can roll the sleeves up if you want, or put them over your boots, or have a bandana, all this cool stuff, and you can get special stuff if you hunt animals. You can get all these different custom outfits, which is really, really fun, and it makes the hunting really rewarding. And you can get different like holsters and stuff and customize those if you hunt animals, which is really, really fun. I need to go and get the white bison hat. I like that a lot. Kind of reminds me of like Where the Wild Things Are, or like Eco or something with the horns. So I need to go do that. But yeah, that's a lot of fun. It makes it a lot more fun to hunt the animals when there's something you can kind of get besides just like money or food or whatever. So
That's the one aspect I haven't been delving into a whole lot, is the hunting. Just because what I'm trying to do is I try to do like the story missions, the stranger missions, and then the bounties. That's mainly what I'm bouncing between. And just like hunting has taken the side seat, and also the treasure maps are back from Red Dead 1. I've done a couple of those, but then like I was doing one and I was trying to do it without Google searching anything, and it got to a point where I was searching for an hour for this one location, and then I was like, all right, I can't be dedicating that much time to treasure maps right now.
Yeah.
I want to experience the story. So
yeah, I was pretty much the same way. Like, I'm just doing it now that I'm done, and I'm doing like extra challenges and stuff. I mainly just did like story stranger missions, but I kind of just did things as they came, which I think is the best way to play the game. Like, if something happens, like a stranger event, just go do it. If some random event is happening on the side of the road, go check it out. Do the story at your own leisure. I didn't really explore the whole map until almost like the very end of the game. So there was a bunch of areas I had never even seen until like the very end. I kind of just let the game drag me to the different areas, even though you don't have to do that. So if the game was like in the Valentine area, I kind of just remained in that area. You were talking about like having to use a guide for the treasure maps. The dinosaur bones are like really bad, and they're the same way because they're all in like, I mean, first of all, the map's huge, and they're all in like really random places. Sometimes they're high up on like mountain peaks and shit. And even when you get there, they look like rocks. Like, they're not these giant bones that are obvious. They're often like this big. And you have, like, if you use Eagle Eye, there's like a yellow trail coming out of it, which is cool, but like, it's like, there's like 30 of these. They're all over the map. I just use a guide, which is still fun because you still explore nature on the way there, and there's a bunch of new routes and stuff I never even saw. I saw some new caves and some new buildings. Like, I found a house that I went into, and the roof was broken in, and the people in there were like burnt to death, and there was smoke coming out of the floor, and I found a meteorite in the floor, so I guess it crashed through and killed them.
that's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, there's just a bunch of little cool stranger stuff you can find. I know I found a hobbit house, like Bilbo Baggins. You can't go into it, unfortunately, but you can find it.
That's funny.
Yeah, there's just a bunch of Easter eggs everywhere. Like, half of them, I would say like 75% of the Easter eggs I've seen online I haven't seen in the game, because they're so well hidden, but there's so many amazing ones. So I still have that to do. I haven't done a single treasure map. I haven't finished any ambient challenges. I'm still doing the dinosaur bones, still doing the cigarette cards, haven't done any legendary fishes. I've only done like maybe a quarter of the legendary animals, which the first one is really cool because it's the bear mission with Hosea, and that one's exciting because it really feels like a struggle. Like, I got attacked by a bear and I had to like fight him off and shoot him, and Arthur was almost dead. So I thought like every legendary animal was kind of going to be like that. Like, it was going to be a really big deal and a really big story behind the animal, and it was going to feel like a triumph. But as soon as you realize that you don't, like, the pelt quality isn't affected by how you kill them like every other animal, the best way to do it is just to find the animal, get on your horse, get a shotgun, and ride alongside them and blow them to bits. Just like 6 shotgun shells to the head, because it doesn't matter at all. So after I learned that, it's kind of annoying. I think they could have done a lot more with the animals. They're still fun to hunt, but it's kind of just fill them full of lead.
I
skin 'em.
did fight a legendary beaver by the one dam, and eventually he just kind of appeared in the water, and I saw him, and I dead-eyed and put 4 repeater rounds into him, and he just flew up onto the bank and died. Like, it was not hard at all.
Yeah, they're not hard, which is kind of unfortunate.
I never ended up actually killing the bear. Like, the bear ran away, and then I was searching for it for a little bit, and then I just couldn't find him, and I was like, well, I'm going to go do something else now.
Yeah, you'd have to go back and do it, because at least they do respawn. And I know if you lose the pelts, they just automatically go to like a trapper, so you don't have to worry about that stuff. But yeah, that stuff is still fun. I just kind of wish there was more of a struggle, like the bear. Like I heard like someone say like maybe like, oh, you get close to killing the alligator, and then you go to skin it, and then it whips you with its tail, and you have to chase it to a different part of the swamp. So I guess I wish they made it more like a story mission rather than just like, here's an animal, just pump it full of lead.
Yeah.
Because the hunting can be kind of hard sometimes. Like if you're really trying to get a perfect pelt, sometimes like first you have to look at the animals to make sure it's in good condition by itself. Then you have to shoot it with the right thing. Then you have to make sure you don't overshoot it, even if you have the right thing. And you can use like predator bait and stuff like that. So it can be kind of hard to hunt sometimes, but it's also really rewarding. So I kind of wish the legendary animals were more like that. But I'm on one stupid ass quest where like it says you need to get 2 perfect carcasses for this lady who's doing like an art exhibit, and I got like a perfect jackrabbit. So I thought, okay, I'll just get another jackrabbit that's perfect and then send it to him, because you're supposed to like mail it or something. So I tried to get another jackrabbit, and I eventually succeeded, but the game said, like, whenever I got the first one, it said, like, oh, you have 1 of 2 perfect carcasses. I got the second one, and then it didn't say anything. So I tried to mail it, and it didn't work. So I'm assuming that I had to get a different animal type. So I looked around for a while, and I found a wild turkey, and I killed that, and it was a perfect carcass. But the pop-up didn't come up that I got another perfect carcass. So I eventually threw that away, and then I decided to get a deer. And I got a perfect carcass, and then it didn't work again. So I don't know how to do that mission, and I just like gave up. I just said, okay, I'll just do it later, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's annoying because sometimes it takes a while to get the perfect pelts, but I figured the animals were going to rot anyway, so I just sold them. It was kind of weird because like I went to Saint Denis to sell stuff at the trapper, but I decided to keep the animals for a little while longer, just in case I found what I was looking for. And when I came back, like, my horse was, like, halfway down the street, even after I hitched it, and the animals were all on the ground. So I had to go grab those and put them back on. So I don't know if someone tried to steal my horse or something, but that was really annoying.
Can we talk about Saint Denis real quick? Just
Yeah.
because in Red Dead Redemption 1, Blackwater is supposed to be, like, the city that you find. Saint Denis blows Blackwater out of the water.
Blackwater kind of sucks, Dick, compared to Saint Denis.
Saint Denis is, whenever I first went in there, because unlike you, I just kind of explored the map at one point. Like, I just wanted to get all the map uncovered that I could, and then continue on with the story. And I found Saint Denis, and I was like, oh, this must be like the city or whatever. And I started going down some of the cobble street roads, and then I was like, oh, this like keeps going. And then it just like kept going and going and going. I was like, geez, this place is like an actual like city, like just in the corner of the map. Like it was amazing, and it just architecture wise, like all the signs and everything, like it's so different from everything else in the game because the entire map is so focused on like nature and everything. It's a really cool location that you can get lost in for hours alone.
Yeah, there's so many cool things to find in Saint Denis, and it chugs the game a little bit.
Yeah,
That's
I noticed that the other day. My frames were dropping really hard in Saint Denis.
Yeah, that's like the only part in the game where I really notice frame drops. It's not like a huge deal. It's not that bad, but you do notice it because there's so much crap going on. And at night it looks really cool too because the lights look really pretty. They obviously did a lot of work with the lights in this game. Mm-hmm. Yeah, one thing I was gonna say about like the different like cities and regions is that there's so many different biomes in this one. Because in Red Dead 1, it was kind of just like desert and more desert in Mexico, and then there was a forest, and there was some snow and tall trees, and that was about it.
You kind of had the swamp in that one area too, but it wasn't that big.
Yeah.
It more or less looked like the forest.
Oh, you mean like Thieves Landing?
Yeah, Thieves
Yeah.
Landing.
Yeah, but in this one you have the big snowy area. You have like just I don't know what to call it, just like a American area. it's
Like
just
a grasslands
green
area.
grass and mountains. There's a big swamp area, the Saint Denis area, which is kind of the same thing. There's the desert area in New Austin, big mountain region up near the top. I don't know what Rhodes is called. I don't know. There's just a bunch of different locations. They're all very distinct compared to the first one. Yeah, and I like them a lot.
Yeah, I was gonna say that they do a good job flowing too. Like they don't feel like disjointed areas that they just kind of connect. Like everything naturally flows. Especially I had our one friend Declan. He was doing the PS4 share watch thing where he was watching me play, and he commented on the transition from the snowy mountain into the grass, how it just gradually gets more grassy and stuff.
Yeah.
He's like, that looks really cool. So yeah, they do a lot of neat things to sort of transition, and even like the air gets more thick the more like southern you go and everything.
Yeah.
You can notice it. So
Actually, that brings me to another complaint I had. A lot of the time, storms, they only last for like 2 minutes. It's like you see like this dark sky, and it's like, holy shit, it's about to get real. There's gonna be like lightning all around me, and then it goes away. Or like I ride through the storm. Like, there's like no rain. It goes away and clears up like almost instantly. Whereas the first Red Dead, like sometimes storms go on for like 2 days.
yeah.
Which is really, really cool. And I don't know, it's just like, it feels like the weather does not last long enough. It feels like unless you stay like exactly in one area, it just goes away because you can ride through it so fast before it even comes, and then it just dissipates. Like the clouds go like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah.
It's just like there was just a giant storm cloud right there. And there was like a really cool moment recently where like the sky was kind of going gray, and I could see like leaves flying around, and you could tell it was windy, and you could see a storm coming, and I was getting really excited, and then just like disappeared. It was like okay. And also I think the day, I don't mind how long the day and night cycle is, or how short I should say. I know some people don't like it, think it should be longer. I do mind how like whenever the sun comes up for the sunset, it's like someone turned on a light switch. It's not like gradual illumination. It's like, oh, it's starting to get brighter, and then and there's the light.
Yeah,
Or like-
I've noticed that too.
Or like it's the same like at nighttime, and it's like, I think the reason for that is because it happens too fast. I think if they managed to slow that down, it would look okay.
Yeah.
Or something like that. I don't know how to fix it. I'm not a programmer, but I'm assuming that's what the problem is. And it probably wouldn't be easy to fix because it's probably tied to like NPC schedules and stuff, because I know some people want longer days, longer nights, but you can't just change that
Yeah.
because you have to change every NPC in the game to make sure like they have stuff to do with the increased time they have to move around. But that's a minor complaint. For me, it's more about the weather. Like if there's gonna be a storm, I want there to be a fucking storm for a while, and let me have to ride through it and survive through it. And there was a snowstorm in the Grizzlies when we were first there, but I haven't seen anything like that since I've been back. So maybe it's just really rare, but I'd like to see that again. But yeah, that's just a minor complaint, I guess. One time it was snowing in Valentine, which is really cool, because I came down from the mountain, and I guess it was just really cold out, and it was snowing there, which is cool. And speaking of snow, one thing that pissed me off, so one of my favorite areas from the first Red Dead Redemption was tall trees, and in this one there's no snow, and I don't like it nearly as much now, because now it's just a giant forest where everything looks the same. I don't know, I don't like exploring it as much as I did in the first one. Maybe it's because there's no snow, but I don't know. It's just there's fucking trees everywhere, and I can't see where to go because the grass is so long. So that area's a little disappointing to me. I liked it a lot more in the first Red Dead, but Oh, I do. One minor complaint I had is if you press like if you're aiming and you press like square, Arthur will do like a Max Payne dodge thing, but you can't shoot during it, and that really pisses me off. Because you can even go into Deadeye and then do it, but you can't shoot during it, so it's like that's a huge missed opportunity. The closest thing I've seen is well, sometimes I do this, like if there's like 3 enemies in front of you, you can paint them all with the Deadeye. Go into Deadeye, shoot one, then dodge while they're shooting you, and then you get up and Arthur shoots the other 2. That's just kind of cool, but
Yeah.
it's not quite the same thing.
What do you think about the core system that they
Oh,
introduced?
yeah, I did want to mention that because I see some people complain like, "Oh my God, I have to worry about feeding Arthur and da da da." It's like, bitch, all you have to do is press L1 and feed him some baked beans like once every 15 minutes. And you don't even have to do it if you don't want to.
Yeah.
Like, it's fine. I wish it was harder. That's actually one of my biggest complaints. I wish the entire game was more difficult. I wish it was more hardcore than it is, because a lot of the like things like the core, I like the idea, but like I said, it's so easy just to like pound down beans and shit like that. But like it's fun to kind of micromanage it, but it's not really hard or anything.
I think it's interesting. I could be wrong in this, but I don't think they explained it very well up at the beginning.
Yeah, they didn't.
They just kind of like it just kind of popped in there, and I remember not really understanding how it worked for a while. Eventually, I figured it out, and it's just like, oh, when the middle thing is full, that's when you're operating at max capacity and everything.
Yeah.
But it's like that wasn't really made explicitly clear at the beginning.
Well, I wanted to mention this too because I think one of the things Rockstar needs to get better at is their tutorials, because it's like I feel like their tutorial system is like really dated at this point. It's literally just like a black box in the corner, and half the time you're trying to concentrate on the game or get away from something, and you're trying to read text that's only there once. And like half the time, like 40 hours in, I was learning these like really important game mechanics that I had no clue you could do. Like I learned like 45 hours in that like if you're aiming your gun and you press up on the D-pad, Arthur will aim it upwards, so then you can like shoot it to like scare animals.
Yeah, I didn't
or
know
like
how to
frighten
do that.
people. Or like if you're in first person mode, you can aim down the sights. If you aim and press down on the D-pad, then he starts aiming down the sights every time you pull the
I
left
didn't
trigger.
know that either. Yeah.
And there's all these little things that the game does not teach you. And it's the same with like I told you how you can kind of fast loot like shelves and stuff. And you don't have to be in first person for that, by the way. I'm just saying it is faster in first person. You can just do it quickly in third. But they don't tell you that either. Someone online found it, and then Rockstar like posted like a Rockstar Newswire article about like these fan tips. And it's like, bitch, why didn't you tell me any of this? Like, come on, like this game really should have had a manual. Like honestly,
Yeah.
I don't know why they just had a map. Like if it had like just a game manual with all these different control things, that would have been great. Because there's so many things. Like even now, I go online after I'm finished playing the game and read about what people are doing, and it's like, oh, there's all these different things you can do that are really easy, and isn't this nice? It's like, yeah, I wish I knew that like a really long time ago,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't know. Rockstar needs to get better at that, because there's so many, and same with like the dodge rolling thing. Like half the people that are playing it don't even know you can do that. I only know it because I asked Brandon Jones of Easy Allies about it on Twitter, and he told me how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's just all these things that they're like not well explained at all, which is annoying. But the game is still fun, and you'll pretty much figure it out sooner or later, I guess. But that could definitely be better.
Yeah, I guess we should just reiterate at this point that while it may sound like we complain about a number of things, and these are all really minor. They don't affect your enjoyment at all. It's just kind of like after a while, you're like, well, I wish I could do this.
Yeah, like
a
I
little
wish
bit.
maybe they could patch like this or that or whatever, but it's like this is definitely a 10 out of 10 for me. Which I don't say that very often, but I thoroughly enjoyed the game, and I'm still enjoying it now, even after it's over. And yeah, I thought it was excellent, but there are things to complain about, I guess. I guess my issue with people who are complaining about it are, first of all, like I said, a lot of these people are not far into the game. Some people just don't like games like this in general, so it's not for them. Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, some people just exaggerate the problems. Like, some people say, like, oh my god, like I have to fucking feed Arthur, or I hate the camp chores. It's like, okay, you don't have to do the camp chores.
Yeah.
Why are you complaining about them? Like, yeah, they're boring. You don't have to do them at all. You can ignore them the entire game. You don't have to donate to camp at all if you don't want to. You don't have to do like half the shit that's in the game if you don't want to.
I've donated the money to camp. I haven't done anything else other than that. I think towards the beginning I brought one animal back. Other than that, I've done no chores for the camp.
Yeah, I just like I upgraded the camp, and I used to bring animals to Pearson. I think upgrading the camp's useful because there's a bunch of cool things you can get through doing that, but I stopped donating after a while, especially because no one else donates. Like, Dutch always comes up to me after I donate. He's like, "Oh, Arthur, I haven't seen you donate in a while." It's like, fuck you, Dutch. Go back to your tent and read. That's all you do. You just sit in your camp and you don't do shit.
How's it going, partner?
If you
Miss Grimshaw.
Miss
Not
Grimshaw.
Naha.
Yeah, he says Miss Grimshaw all the time. Yeah, if you antagonize Dutch enough, he walks up to you and shoves you and tells you to grow up. Which is funny.
I was texting you the other day. Freaking uncle, he would like come up or whatever, and I would just be like, "Oh, look at you! You find something else to drink yet today?" And then he's just like, "Oh, here we go, Arthur." And starts walking away.
There's one antagonizing line you can say to John, where like Arthur's like, "Hey, why don't you take your son out to swim? You can teach him how to swim." "Oh wait, you can."
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny how they make fun of him not being able to swim in the first game so often. I've heard it like 3 or 4 times from Arthur.
I only antagonized John one time, and it was something like it was some sort of like generic, just like, "Oh, where you been looking like that," or whatever, and then John was just like, "Shut up, Arthur," and walked away.
Yeah, he said like, sometimes I antagonize him and he'll be like, "What's your problem with me?" I usually diffuse it, which is hilarious because Arthur walks around the entire camp roasting people, and then he's just like, "Take it easy, I won't serious." To like everyone.
Probably get all annoyed at him. It's just like, God, what a jackass.
Yeah. I know if you antagonize Sadie 3 times, she slaps you. I don't know if you've seen it, but if you antagonize like everyone, someone will get pissed off and punch you.
No, I haven't.
It's just really, really funny. Then you have to come back to camp with your tail between your legs, which is pretty funny. But I antagonize people on the road all the time. And like I told Nick, like you can like punch people when you're on your horse. So, like, whenever I see a horse rider out in nature, I ride up next to him, and Arthur goes like this and punches them. And then I speed away, and they start shooting at me.
Is it hard enough to knock them off the horse, or do they just go like, "Ow"?
You can probably knock him off the horse if you punch him several times, but it's just like, "Ow." It's just funny because Arthur's just going along, and he just goes like, and then, like, no context, he just smacks someone. Sometimes I smack their horses. Especially with like carriages and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw a video of someone trying to kill a kid in Saint Denis. And obviously you can't kill one, but he found that you can like throw dynamite at them and the explosion like causes them to ragdoll. So eventually he chased one kid around long enough and threw it ahead of him, so the kid walked into it, and he like flew into a window. Which is really funny. Yeah, it is fun to be bad in that game sometimes. Like, one time I got close to someone's camp, and they were like, "Oh, you need to get the hell out of here." And then like I shot them and hog-tied them, and then I threw them on their fire and burned them. And one time, these two like hillbillies, which were like siblings, but they were like in a relationship with each other, they tried to like get me to drink this alcohol so they could like steal my money. Like I've seen how the whole mission plays out, where like they'll steal your money and you can come back and kill them. But I already knew how the mission was gonna play out, so I just got up and I was gonna get out, but I got my gun out and I killed both of them and tried to burn down their house throwing Molotov cocktails.
What I did, because I've done that one also, and I didn't know how it was going to play out, so I knew that they'd kind of, like, they drugged you or whatever with the alcohol, and then I came back fully ready for my vengeance. I was like, all right, this is going to be great. I walked in the front door, pulled my gun out, because the one is, like, cooking in the kitchen or whatever, and then she picks up a knife, and she was coming towards me, and I was like, I just kept aiming, because I was trying to get her to stand down, but then she comes and just auto-killed me one time. So then I was like, alright, now it's serious, like, I'm going to come back here, and I'm going to ruin everything. So I pulled the lasso out the next time. I came in through the door, lassoed her, and hogtied her. While she was yelling while I was hogtying, the other guy came around the corner, shot me once in the elbow. I pulled out dead-eyed and shot him in the head. She started screaming because, like they were in a relationship, like you said, or whatever. And so I went around the house, got my money and everything. And then what I wanted to do was, I was talking with our friend Alex at the time, and he said I should try dragging her by my horse. So you can't, like, re-lasso once they're hog-tied. So I was, like, trying to do that, and it wasn't really working. So I was like, all right, well, I'll cut her free, try to lasso her again, and climb up on the horse. This time she had the knife again, started beating me, and I almost died again, but I got her lassoed and hogtied again. And so I was like, all right, well, I can't do that. I can't drag her by the horse now. So I was looking through my inventory, found I had one stick of dynamite, and just tossed it right next to her head and watched her blow up. I was like, there you go. That's my revenge on your stupid family. But yeah, that was a completely just side thing, and I made my own little story out of it.
Yeah, those are like the most fun moments of the game when you just make up like random stories. I was telling Nick, like, I went to I think the place is called Butcher Creek, and it's just like a place with like a bunch of like deformed like hill people, and I basically was just going around like antagonizing people and diffusing it like usual. And then there was this one guy that was like being an asshole to me, so I kept antagonizing him until he wanted to fight me. And I beat him up, and then the entire Butcher Creek came to try and kill me, so I got my shotgun out and killed all of them. And it took a long time, but yeah, they all died. That was kind of fun. And then they respawned shortly after that. But yeah, every now and then I just feel like being bad, and it's kind of fun. And then I like throw fish back, and then I get my honor points back.
I know one story earlier on that I had was, this was before I knew how the horse tripping mechanic kind of worked. I call it a mechanic. It's not really a mechanic, but it's like, in Red Dead 1, like, if you're riding your horse and you hit, like, a rock or something, the horse will just kind of, like, rock over it. In this one, your horses can trip, and, like, everything will fly off and everything. So I found a random event up in the hills where this woman was being kidnapped by a guy on a horse. And I was just like, all right, well, we're on a collision course here. I'm just going to run into him. We smacked into each other. Both of us went flying. She went flying off the back. The horses collapsed. And then I just got up and shot the guy in the head and freed the lady. But I was like, wow, that was really funny. We just kind of like completely stopped from going like 40 miles per hour on a horse.
There was like one guy that he asked me if I wanted to race his new horse. So I said yes, and I was beating him for most of it, and then I ran into a rock and fell off my horse. And then he beat me, and then I shot him at the end. I was so pissed.
Something similar happened to me. I didn't race horses, but I found a guy who was shooting bottles underneath like a railroad track, and he challenged me to a fight, or to like a sharpshooting thing. I ended up losing, and he's like, well, how about we double your money, and we'll shoot birds next. So I took him up on it again, and no money being exchanged at this point. I lost that one too. And then he was like, all right, well, it's time to pay up now. And then I hit decline, and he's like, I ain't giving you anything. And then he got angry, pulled his pistol out, and I just shot him. And I was just like, yeah, I'm not giving you my money.
Oh, I remember the anecdote I wanted to tell. I went into a random house at night once, and this house was like, there was a story-related quest there, but the family already moved out, so I figured there was going to be no one there. And the lights were just on in the house just because the game just does that, just so you can see easier. Mm-hmm. So I burst into the house, and there was a guy sitting in the chair. And I thought he was like a dead body, so it freaked me out. but it was just a guy reading a book. So he's like, you need to get the hell out of here. So I diffused it, and walked around the house and entered the back door and started looting his stuff. And then I wanted to see if he would notice me in the doorway, but he didn't. So I just walked past him while he was like over in the corner over here, and I kept looting things. And then I just hit against the wall because I was gonna like try and like, I don't know, alert him so he'd come over and fight me. And then another guy came into the house and said hi to that guy and walked into the room and completely missed me. Just hiding against the wall. And then he noticed me and he's like, I don't like you in here. And then I had to run out and I eventually shot him.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Hey, Dale.
Yeah. Yeah, there was another guy who like he tries to invite you into his house in the swamp, and I already know that like he sexually assaults you if you go into his house. Like yeah, he knocks you out and you hear him like unzipping, and you wake him in the swamp later. But I already knew that was what happened, so I got a lasso out and walked up to him. And he's like, "Oh, I'm a strong man with a lasso. Lucky me." Because I heard if you did that, he said that, and then I also heard if you hog tie him, he says like, "If you tie me any tighter, I might ejaculate."
Jeez.
So I tried to do that, but he just started running away from me, and he was like really fast, and I couldn't hog tie him because I guess he was like a, I don't know, a required mission or something. So I just shot him and put him in his house and burned it.
All right. Well, is there anything else you want to talk about?
I think I shot his wiener a few times too, which is fun. But I think that's mostly it. I like to run into people with my horse so they fall down. My favorite is like running into cops and then like turning around, and as they're getting up I run into them again. Yeah, I think that's mostly it. There's like a billion things to talk about because but there's too much to talk about really, so
Yeah, we've already been talking for almost an hour and a half on it. So.
Yeah, pretty much only about Red Dead, so
I'm sure if you're listening to this, you've probably played it at this point, at least in some fashion.
Yeah,
but...
let's be honest, you're not a gamer if you're not playing Red Dead, like that one article said.
Yes. But, thanks for listening to our Red Dead, not really a review, but just our chat about Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah, talked about some negatives, talked about the positives, but it's a good one. It's good.
Definitely. So thanks again for watching. You can check out some of our other videos here on YouTube and the other podcasts. And we will see you in the next podcast and or video.
Sure. You're alright, boy.
See you guys.